Hey folks, Jackdaw here. Time to wake up from cryosleep, brush the ice off your eyebrows, and catch up with the outer worlds. The Halcyon colony was left teetering on collapse, its people frozen and its future sold off by the board, and Earth long gone without a word. At the end of the first game, something went quiet. The Cornelius Vanderbilt, Halcyon's last Earthbound ship, vanished. Communications with Earth ceased, supplies stopped, and no one in Halcyon, not even the board, knew why. The only thing we were told, Earth had gone dark. Now in 2361, 6 years after the Hope's revival and Halcyon's near collapse, the Outer Worlds 2 skips the foreplay, and instead tears a hole through space, time, and corporate policy. Earth actually still exists, and the Earth Directorate, long presumed irrelevant, is back on board. You're not a frozen colonist this time, you're the commander, an Earth Directorate agent, with a badge, a mandate, and a new crisis in a new colony, Arcadia. A world built on skip drive secrets, now splintered by rifts no corporation knows how to fix. The devs have made it clear that you do not need to play the first game. This is a new colony, a new cast, a fresh start. But Halcyon still casts a long shadow, and if the Outer Worlds taught us anything, it's that history has a way of repeating itself, usually with a slogan slapped on top. So, whether you are returning after 6 literal years since the original game, or you are heading into the Outer Worlds 2 for the first time, this timeline recap will walk you through everything that has happened. Previously in corporate hell, let's start 350 years before the game even begins. In our real history, 1901 saw US President William McKinley assassinated, and his Vice President Theodore Roosevelt came in swinging like a trust-bustling hurricane. He broke up monopolies, reined in the robber barons, and generally just made life awkward for anyone who owned more than 2 railways. Now in the Outer Worlds timeline, McKinley survives. Roosevelt never becomes president. The antitrust laws that would have shackled big businesses never pass, and corporations grow into unchecked global superpowers. Over centuries, they devour entire industries, then governments, until there's no distinction between the two. Fast forward to the 24th century, and the galaxy is in the bony, graspy hand of the board. A coalition of 10 megacorps under the Halcyon Holdings banner, whose idea of governance is to run human life like a massive profit spreadsheet. There's Universal Defense Logistics, the board's private army. Spacer's Choice, selling cut-rate goods with worse slogans. Hunters and Trackers Limited, licensed for both Beast and Bounty. And Terra One Publications, spinning headlines to keep the wheels greased. Colway Pharmaceuticals sell miracle cures with lethal side effects. They even flirted with making Applezap, a toothpaste to kill hunger. Imagine that, while the colony's gnawing on sawdust. Anti-Cleo's offers antiseptic food and snake oil with a smile. Rizzo's handles drinks and distractions. CMP makes mystery meat. And Hephaestus Mining strips planets bare in the name of progress. Technically, there's still Monarch Stellar Industries, a former board member, current black sheep, still pretending it has a seat at the table, each with their own product line and their version of the truth. Together, they keep Halcyon running, or at least what's left of it. One of their proudest ventures is the Halcyon system, 10 light years away from Earth. It's home to 2 habitable planets, Terra 2 and Monarch, plus a scattering of moons and stations. To staff and develop it, 2 massive colony ships were launched from Earth in 2285. The Groundbreaker, which completed its expected 10-year journey and arrived in Halcyon in 2295, now operating as a bustling 3-port. The other ship, however, the Hope, went off course and limped in decades late. The Hope was carrying 100,000 of Earth's top scientists, engineers, and specialists, frozen in cryo for what was meant to be a decade-long journey. But when its skip drive failed mid-route, the ship had to crawl under sublight engines, extending the trip far beyond its safe limits. The board officially assumed the ship was lost by 2295. By the time it reached Halcyon in 2320, which is more than 25 years late, the colonists couldn't be revived without their cells exploding like overripe pomegranates. And so, that same year, the board, in their infinite wisdom, decides to hide the Hope's arrival, parking it in orbit around the frozen world of Typhon, and publicly declares it lost. They bury the fact that the only people who could save the colony are now stuck in frozen corporate limbo. In 2355, Dr. Phineas Vernon Welles, once a loyal board scientist, now their most wanted fugitive, finally makes his move. Whatever broke his loyalty is never revealed, but by this year he has found the lost Hope, boarded it, and after several fatal test runs, successfully revived a single colonist without actually killing them. That's you, the stranger. Welles explains very quickly, because corporate death squads are on his tail, that he needs specific chemicals to thaw the rest of the Hope's crew. You're less likely to be recognised than he is, so he sends you to meet his smuggler contact, Alex Hawthorne, on Terra 2. Unfortunately, Hawthorne is instantly crushed by your landing pod, leaving you his ship, the Unreliable, his AI, Ada, and his unfinished network of jobs. This is where you become directly embroiled in Wells's vast conspiracy board that threatens to destroy the Halcyon colony. Here is the bigger picture that Welles doesn't have time to paint out. Halcyon was licensed and sold off by the Earth Directorate, the interstellar authority that assigns star systems to corporate buyers like auction lots. More on them in the Outer Worlds too. But by the time you wake up in 2355, Earth had already gone dark. The board claims it's simply a signal issue, but everyone else suspects it's something worse. Resources are dwindling, famine is spreading, and the board's leadership is so incompetent, they've decided the solution is to freeze off most of the population indefinitely. Their quote, lifetime employment program is corporate spin for a controlled die-off. Priority workers will be cycled in and out of cryo, assuming the chemical revival problem is solved, while the rest are quietly culled. The colony is a slow-motion disaster, but the elite in Byzantium keep throwing lavish parties and manufacturing pointless products while the outer worlds rot. It's quite the mess, least to say. Your first stop is Edgewater, a company town run by Space's Choice, whose motto proudly printed on every wall is, "You've tried the best, now try the rest." It's not a joke, it's policy. The town runs on canned salt tuna, except the bay's long since been fished dry, so the cannery has resorted to grinding up dirt, leather, and sawdust into tins. The diet is killing people, and the resulting malnutrition has sparked a disease they call the plague. But no one stops working. Space's Choice doesn't cover sick leave, and the cure is loyalty. Half the population has defected to a settlement outside the walls, led by Adelaide McDevitt. She's growing real crops in fertile soil using ground human remains as fertilizer, which is grim, but it works. Reed Thompson, Edgewater's corporate manager, asks you to divert power from Adelaide's camp to the town, forcing the deserters to return. Adelaide offers the opposite. Whoever you side with, you're deciding which group gets to live comfortably, and which one slides further towards slow starvation. Whichever you choose, Halcyon keeps turning. It's worth noting that Thompson is a member of the Order of Scientific Inquiry, which is Halcyon's state religion, a cold corporate faith built on predestination, scientific dogma, and the belief that everyone has a role, whether they like it or not. A quick breather before we jump into Act 2, but I have officially partnered with Apex Gaming PCs, which means I have my own official line of pre-built PC rigs. Whether you're brand new to PC gaming, or you're looking to stream on the side, or you want to play all the latest games on Ultra without your GPU cooking up, there is a particular build for you. We've got Bronze, Streamer and Streamer Plus, all sleek, powerful and available with financing if needed. You can use the code Jackdaw at checkout for 5% off. As always, you can find the links in the description down below. Okay, let's get into Act 2 of The Outer Worlds. After Edgewater, Welles needs you to contact Hiram Blythe, an information broker on Monarch. Now, Monarch itself is a board failure, a terraforming project that mutilated the wildlife into oversized, aggressive predators. The board pulled out, declaring it off limits, but two factions decided to stay. As mentioned before, as the black sheep of the board, we have Monarch Stellar Industries, led by Sanjar Nandi, trying to regain the board's favour once more. And secondly, we have the Iconoclasts, a revolutionary group led by Graham Bryant, broadcasting propaganda across Monarch's airwaves. The two groups' radio war is blocking all other transmissions, including Welles. You can either broker peace after discovering Graham caused a past massacre, pick a side, or just leave them to their own civil war. And then the Peril on Gorgon DLC kicks off mid-campaign with a severed hand and a message from Mini Ambrose, pulling you into the ruins of a Spacer's Choice super project gone wrong. Once hailed as a breakthrough in productivity, the Gorgon asteroid is now a graveyard of failed science and marauder-infested labs, all tied to the development of adrenotime, a drug that helped break the colony. Depending on your choices in the DLC, Minnie and her mother Olivia either destroy the research or try to salvage it, leading to radically different futures. The project is shut down, restarted, or exploited. Sometimes for hope, sometimes for control, but the fallout always lingers. Gorgon becomes either a monument of corporate ruin or a second chance born from the wreckage. And finally, you're sent to Byzantium, Halcyon's opulent capital, where the elite live in comfort while the rest of the Outer Worlds starve. Minister Clark is under house arrest, placed there by Chairman Charles Rockwell, the man behind the Lifetime Employment Program, who plans to freeze the poor, hoard the food, and sell the illusion of order until the lights go out for good. In Rockwell's office, you find the unedited Lifetime Employment Program video, a cheery advert explaining how the board will, quote, save the colony by killing most of its citizens. The chemical dimethyl sulfoxide is being hoarded by the board in a restricted UDL facility. As mentioned before, in practice, they're the board's private army and weapons manufacturer. You'll find their scientists frozen mid-experiment, still alive in cryo, their brains slowly drained to test neural revival limits. Grotesque but entirely routine in a system where productivity outranks personhood. And it doesn't go unnoticed. The heist draws the attention of Sophia Akand, the board's cold-blooded adjutant, widely suspected to be the true power behind Chairman Rockwell and the architect of the Lifetime Employment Program. A true believer, to her, dismantling the board is heretical / a civilizational collapse. She offers you a deal: betray Phineas and live like royalty, or you can side with him and tear the system down. If you side with the board, you help crush the riot in Tartarus, bringing Phineas to heel and silencing the last true resistance. Chairman Rockwell dies or vanishes, and Sophia Akand becomes the colony's shadow ruler, executing their Lifetime Employment Program in full. Halcyon's workers are frozen en masse, its towns emptied, and its resources funneled into Byzantium to sustain the elite. The system calcifies, smaller, colder, and more obedient than ever. If you side with Welles, you storm Tartarus with your allies, dismantle the board's command, and either kill Akand or convince her to vanish into obscurity. Welles dies not long after, but his plan lives on. The Hope's colonists are revived, scientists, thinkers, and dreamers from Earth's last generation, and their arrival offers Halcyon a fragile lifeline. It's less of a revolution and more of a gamble, but for the first time, the colony has a future not written by the board. Then there's the Murder on Eridanos, the final DLC, a glossy pulp noir murder mystery set on a floating resort, held afloat by rocket boosters and corporate promises. You're summoned because you're now the freelancer of the system, to solve the death of Halcyon Helen, only to uncover she faked it, using the murder of her identical twin to expose a deeper conspiracy. Rizzo's new drink, Spectrum Brown, is laced with a mind-altering parasite. Depending on your choices, the drink is either stopped or spreads silently across the colony, infecting the desperate and the disposable. Rizzo's collapses, Helen vanishes, and the Eridanos incident becomes one more buried scandal. The Outer Worlds didn't end with a typical corporate twist. Halcyon was already falling apart. You woke up thinking you were here to help, to fix Halcyon, but by the time the credits rolled, it was clear the colony wasn't failing, it had already failed. The board had frozen its own citizens to hide a food crisis, pumped out propaganda to keep the workforce compliant, and quietly abandoned entire settlements to rot. Earth stopped answering. The only remaining hope was a long shot. Pun unintended. Revive the Hope's colonists, most of them scientists and engineers, and buy enough time to repair the damage. But even in the best ending, Halcyon was very much on the brink. Phineas Welles was dead or gone, Tartarus had fallen, the board was broken but not completely erased, and the colony's survival rested on scattered crews, half-working tech, and a miracle of cooperation. The Earth Directorate had been silent since 2352, missing since 2353. They never sent help. Halcyon was left to drift in the dark, abandoned by the people who sent it there, the advertising still running long after the product had stopped working. Now in 2361, the Outer Worlds 2 confirms that they weren't gone. Earth simply just didn't care for Halcyon, but what's happening in Arcadia has forced their hand. Skip drives, first invented on Arcadia, are tearing holes in space-time, isolating colonies and distorting reality itself. The Protectorate want to shut it all down. The Order of the Ascendant, an offshoot of the Order of Scientific Inquiry from Halcyon, wants to understand it, and Anti-Cleo, now merged with Space's Choice, wants to slap a brand label on the Void and sell it in pill form. You arrive as a Directorate agent, sent to investigate the Arcadia incident. But the rescue mission is a front, the factions are lying, the tech is broken, and the war's already started. They're just waiting for someone else to fire first. But that is another story entirely. If you want the full breakdown on Anti's choice, the new factions, companions, and how Arcadia ties into Halcyon's collapse, I've already covered that in full detail in my previous Outer Worlds 2 story setup video. This is what happens after. This is what happens when Earth finally decides to intervene. Let me know in the comments down below if you found this timeline recap helpful and if it has prepared you accordingly for Arcadia. However, for more videos like this and other RPG breakdowns, you are already in the right place. Until the next one, I've been Jackdaw, and I should go. Whoa, 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 whoa.